Good afternoon, buenas tardes, bienvenidos a Que Pasa, Mujer. We are so excited because today is November the 12th. And we're here every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Today, Nicte is not with us, but Maddie is. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Maddie, and she's going to tell us about her amazing week that she had and her purpose for gratitude that she had this past week. And then, of course, you guys have to stay tuned for the end of the show because of course she's going to have her poetry today because the last 2 weeks Nicte, myself, and our producer Mark have been we have done our own poetry, which was very challenging for me, but I kind of like enjoyed it. So we're going to head. I don't know if Mark, you ready for Maddie to come on? Hola, mujer, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, muy bien. Buenas tardes, ¿qué pasa? Hope everybody's doing well.
Yes. Tell us about your week.
So first, I just want to say that I am so proud of you guys. I really enjoyed listening to your poetry, and I am so glad that you guys indulge me and love to see people's creativeness. So thank you for that. Like always, I think we always start, we had a very busy, crazy week, It's always like that. I think the day that we say, oh, it was an easy week, it's going to be like, oh my God, what happened? So
Right.
So I guess, blessed for that. It's always, it's like, oh, I had a lot of work. Well, blessed that we get to work and we get to say I had a lot to do. So, so again, very, busy week at work, challenging, but, kind of blessed that we made it through. Glad my kids are doing okay. My son is doing really good after his surgery. So, therapist just told him that he has full range of motion. So that means he can lift the arm and move it all around. So, very happy for that and thankful for that. My daughter's baby belly is growing, so she's 6 months now already, and she's doing okay. Again, she's still a little sick, but baby is growing okay. And I'm doing well. Like I said, I had a good week. I was able to just want to be thankful for sometimes we do things and we, like I always say, we, especially as an artist, as a writer, I write, and sometimes I think I write for myself. I write about what I know, which is me and what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. And then you go out there and you put your heart out there and you never know who you're affecting. So last Friday, I was able to attend an event, and it was in Suffolk, and I normally don't perform in Suffolk, very seldomly. And I got to this event, and of course I look around and I don't know a soul. I don't know anybody that's in there. And I sat in the front because, I wanted to be able to enjoy the show. As they were calling up the performers, to the open mic, this lady comes on stage and she passes by me and she says, "Hi, Maddie." And I didn't, immediately recognize her. And she gets on stage and, she proceeds to say, "I met Maddie at an event, and this poem is inspired by something she said when I saw her perform." And I was like, "What?" Like, again, I didn't recognize her right away. But, when she started, talking and stuff, I remember I saw her at a library event many moons ago. And she proceeded to read a poem, about losing her brother, which, the poem that I had shared was about losing my brother as well. And it was just brought me to tears. So again, saying that to say that, I'm grateful for doing what I do, for the gift of writing and sharing, being able to be open and vulnerable enough to share my pain and my heart. And, Lord knows how much bravery it took for her to get to the point where she could write about her pain and what she went through. And I'm just proud and happy that I had a little something to do with that. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to have a platform where you could express yourself that way. Like I know when I did my poem last week, I'm like over here in my corner because I know I don't have I feel like it's just me. So I know it's very like you have to have, that confidence maybe. And even sometimes I'm assuming you don't have the confidence, but just to be able to just get on stage in front of everybody and especially speak about personal hurt. But again, we always, I guess, we do things like that because we're not hoarders and we want to make sure that other people feel healing like we have felt healing. So that's pretty cool. So it's nice to have that platform. For me this week, Like it's just I'm like I can't believe it's like mid-November. So just a lot of towards, especially right now in November, I always start to do like a end of the year cleaning. I don't necessarily do the spring cleanings thing that they do here in the United States. So I created my own and I just kind of do my end of the year thing. And I clean everything. Like I get the house clean, I get the office clean, my car, like everything. I get everything like super clean. Like to the point where I don't even keep a junk drawer, but it might get like a little messy or whatever. So I thoroughly clean everything, and it just makes me feel good. Um, and then this coming up week on Thursday, my grandmother's going to be 88, so I'm super excited about that, because it's a blessing to be able to have her here, for this long, and that she doesn't use a cane or a wheelchair. And when I took her to the chiropractor like a month ago, she was able to touch her toes.
That's
Um,
still drama.
so I think that's very exciting. Um, so that's kind of like what I thought about this particular week. Just being able to, because I am an only child, and I am also the oldest grandchild. It's a lot of weight on my shoulders at times, but I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to be there for my mother and my grandmother, and I just think that we do it out of love. Not I don't ever want to feel like I'm obligated to take care of them. I want to do it because it feels good doing it, and I know that it makes them feel good that I'm there as well. So today we're going to talk a little bit about mental health, about women entrepreneurship. Mental health is huge. I had a staff meeting yesterday, and I just kind of talked about the mental health piece. I think that sometimes I don't want to feel like I'm overworking somebody else, and they may feel some type of way telling me like I'm tired, Viviana. Because I know in the school system, especially during COVID, a lot of teachers were being overworked, and they started to do mental health days, without even questioning it. So I reemphasized to my staff this particular week that I'm okay with that, even if we don't necessarily have a policy in place where they can do the mental health day. I need one as well sometimes, and I'm able to do that because I can set up my own hours. But I, just re-emphasize to them that it's okay for them to take a mental health day or hours, or I just need to go outside and get a little breather or whatever. So I think that that's important, as well. So I have a friend. Her name is Maria, and we met about 10 years ago. And I recently saw her, and I've her husband has always told her to make sure that her and I connect in some capacity because we're both Latinas, right? So we finally saw each other the other day, and I was like, "Hey, I would love for you to be on our show because blah 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 blah." So we're gonna go ahead and bring Maria on. Maria Parker, Maria Consuelo Parker, and she's going to tell us a little bit about, who she is and what she does. So we're ready for her. Mark, when you're ready. Hi, Maria.
Bienvenida.
Hola, hola, ¿qué pasa, mujer?
Hola, estamos bien aquí. So Maria always uses nena, okay? But today, instead of using nena, you're going to use mujer.
Muy bien.
So Maria, tell us a little bit about your background, like your ethnicity, your race, your culture, like where were you born? Where have you been in these past 20 years that you've been alive?
Right. Yes, I just had a birthday. I just turned 21. You missed it.
Woo! Now you could drink.
Yes, more than one. So, yo soy española. I'm from Spain. Both of my parents are from Spain. I'm from Sevilla. I was actually born in Rota, Spain, which is actually a naval base. Many of you that have any type of military background may be familiar with that particular base. But I was born there. I would say when I was about 5 years old, I moved to the States with my mom. My mom married an American. So I ended up coming to the States. I have two younger sisters as well. And probably for the first 10 years, my mom, we went back and forth from Spain to the US every year, every other year. And then at 15 years old, in my ninth grade year of high school, we came to the States, and then I've been here ever since. So I've been here for many, many years now. So my mom kind of jokes me at times that I became quote unquote too Americanized.
Why does she
Uh,
say that? Why do you think she says that?
because she feels like I adapted too many American ways, like always working, how many hours we work, never have enough time for the fun stuff. She culture is very important to me, but I can understand that sometimes I always say we can get consumed, in the day to days of the American life. And for any of us who have lived in other parts of the world, can understand
Mhm.
why somebody would say that. If you've only been in the United States, you may have no idea, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it. But so I think that's probably one of the biggest things my mom would say. She would fuss at me.
Because
Still
your
fusses
mom
at
is
me every
pretty,
day.
yeah, because from what I remember, your mom is pretty like, even in her dress, she dresses nice, her makeup. And I think from the conversation that I remember, it was like she likes to travel and to go back and forth. And
Yeah,
she's like the opposite of my mom. So my mom likes to travel, but she loves being here because of her grandkids. And I think your mom is a little bit, she loves the grandkids, but she's about me first and then
yeah.
everybody else.
She was like that when she was younger, and she always loved to travel. And my mom, I would say, would get bored quickly, in a sense. So if things weren't, kind of like where she wanted them, and she always tried to strive for better for us, which is why she decided, sometimes now as an adult, you would think, oh, parents make impulsive decisions sometimes. They don't realize how it can affect the kids, and you don't really realize. But as a parent, sometimes you make those decisions because those are the best at the time, and then in hindsight I was like, well, maybe should I have done this, should I have done that? And that's for any of us that are parents, or just as adults, we can second guess ourselves at any given time.
Mm. How many kids do you have?
I have five.
Five. Okay. What are the ages?
I have the three oldest ones are girls, so 30, 26, 21, and my two sons, 18 and 15.
Wow. Do you think one of them is a little bit more like you versus what's the other one is maybe more gravitates to your husband's genes, DNA?
Oh, it depends on if you personality or looks. So I
Personality,
don't
personality.
personality. Ooh, I would say maybe the oldest one and the youngest. I would say maybe the oldest one is probably similar, maybe more like me, even though she's a lot quieter than I am. I don't really think that any one of my kids is like, oh, or he or she is your like twin. So my youngest one is probably the most similar to me when it comes to like how we think. He very
Mm.
much likes, analytics. He's good at math, but he's Mr. Debater. So, like he would be a great attorney. He would be a great CEO. He would be a great like colonel. It just depends on which way he's going to go. He's definitely going to be the boss of something or somebody or many things.
Plus he's the youngest.
Because he's the youngest, and we've always nicknamed him. I don't know if it was my husband. We nicknamed the youngest in charge.
That
He
makes sense.
definitely is that. My son Darnell, who's 18, he has a lot of my ways. Like him and I, of all the kids, him and I love to dance, music, dance. It is like you can turn on a song and we're ready to go all the time. The rest of them, like it's a little bit different. My 21-year-old, she actually danced, in the academy and everything for 9 years. And like she would have to be in the mood to dance. It's very different. For me, you turn the music on and it's going. Like it's not stopping until Maria decides she's going to sit down.
Nice, nice. Another question that I had for you, and then we'll let Maddie talk because I don't want to take over. But So your husband and yourself run an organization called Catch. So if you could tell us a little bit about Catch. And
Absolutely.
the second question is, did you ever see yourself being an entrepreneur?
So what was the first part of the question? I'm sorry.
Catch. Tell us
Oh,
what is Catch?
so it was my husband's vision. It's concerned adults teaching children hope, and he actually founded he had the vision. when we met, he always worked in the community. He worked at multiple hospitals for children that have a lot of developmental or behavioral issues. So he would work at the acute hospital, then he would work juvenile detention, and they would always have, I always say he always had three jobs. Those that understand sometimes the field of mental health, corrections, or even the hospital setting, the hours are very long. There's overnight shifts, and most people are, have a shift somewhere else rather than just their regular, full-time job. So when we met, that's what he did, and I had no knowledge really of what that world looked like. My family has always been full of entrepreneurs. From my grandfather, in Spain, he was actually the first person in Spain who had the first rental car business in the entire country. So he passed away when he was 85. He was born in 1900. I was very close to my grandparents. I was actually named after my grandmother, and my both sides of my mom and my dad, both of my sides of my family, all full of entrepreneurs, professional, football players from Spain, accountants, bankers. My uncle owned, he was like the, what do you call those? The motors for the boats, it's called Mercury. So he had the franchise for all southern part of Spain. So again, and my mom, that's all she's ever done is be an entrepreneur her entire life. Like to this day, she's like, Consuelo, let's open up una cafeteria. And I'm like, Mom, what? Every day she calls me with an idea. Consuelo, you know what I was thinking? Every day of my life, she's coming with, and she has the greatest ideas. I said, Mom, I would love to be able to pursue every idea that you have because I think they're all fabulous. But it takes a little bit more than just the idea. And she's had several successful businesses. She's 75 now, but her brain doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So she always definitely, but I don't know if I ever thought of myself being really an entrepreneur, but I would say I definitely get it from my mama, as they would say.
Nice. Maddie, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell us. You told us a little bit about Catch and the kids that you work with. But tell us a little bit about your educational background and the programs that you may have within your organization.
So, like I said, my husband was always a visionary, and I'm a person. My background is business, finance, numbers. I'm really like, I think about ways I'm a fixer. I'm solution focused. I figure out a way to get things done. So when he came up with the idea, I said, well, I was actually in the finance industry at the time. I was a manager for Nations Bank back in the day that became later on Bank of America, but I was on the finance side, not on the banking side. And I said, well, there are steps that you have to take. You can't just come with this, you got to do the formal steps. So that's kind of like what I brought to the business. So I didn't have any type of mental health background. Mine was all finance. My degrees in finance. In a sense, it's actually, I converted it to a human services degree because once we started the business, I felt like I needed to gain some understanding of how, what is mental health? Again, like I had no knowledge. And my husband is very much a community person. He's always been about what more can I do for the community? First, it was about one child. Then it was about how can I help a family? Then he realized, working in the systems, the hospital, detention, like he can't really, there are parameters, there are rules, there are, ethics that come with those organizations. So he was like, I want to be able to do more and impact more of the community. So he had asked, he wanted to do foster care. And that was an interesting route because, again, I had no knowledge of what foster care even was. Even being an adult living in the United States, it wasn't my world. It wasn't my life, so I had no concept of it. So when he decided, he was like, I really would like to do foster care. I was like, okay, well, what does that even look like? Because we have children of our own. We literally had our 21-year-old. She was an infant. I was pregnant with her. And he's talking about bringing kids, strangers into our home that, at the end of the day, they come with their own sets of issues, and trauma and things like that that I really didn't know how to deal with or cope with, or how can I help them? I don't know what I'm doing. So that was part of the journey, that got us to, open up the agency, and me actually falling in love with helping the community and being a part of the community. So that's really how it evolved for me. And again, within the business, I'm very much the administrator. When it comes to, policies and the administration of them and the finances and making sure when it's, the quality assurance of everything, that's a lot of what I do. But I'm very involved in every single case that we have within the agency. I actually, we also work with Spanish families, which is a little different. So of course, I'm the only bilingual. I do have two other bilingual staff members. But when it comes to, part of the organization, and obviously we're both owners of the business, that's my side. And one of the things that he's always wanted me to do is, really try to embrace in regards to really pushing to be a voice for the Latin Hispanic community in mental health and in the community, because our voice is about, it's very small, but our impact is great. Our culture is very impactful. Anything that we do, it's going to be great. We love to help each other. We're there for one another, but it can be very difficult at times because, our voices aren't heard a lot, because it's, we may be in numbers, but our voices aren't heard at all.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Tell me a little bit about, I guess, if you could think of a particular family that you have impacted, whether it was a long time ago or recently, that really like impacted you as an individual.
I would probably say it was one of the young ladies that we actually did foster care for. She came to live with us through social services when she was 12, and her and my oldest daughter, they were the same age. And it was only we had one child that had been placed with us because my husband is like a behavior specialist. So he literally would work with other families that Hampton, said, look, you need to help this family be able to manage the behaviors and put tools in place. So when, they're having some difficulties, you help the parents figure out what to do, equip them with as many tools as possible, because at the end of the day, resources are forever. People, individuals, when they come to your home or when you go to therapy, a lot of times, they move on. They're not in your life for the rest of your life. So you hope that when you have to leave, or there's a change, that you leave them with something that they can continue to use when you're no longer there.
Right.
But she came to us at 12, and it was probably one of the most difficult things for me because, at the end of the day, she was the same age as my daughter, and I knew her background, where her trauma started, at 1 and 2 years old. And, as a parent, it's very difficult to, I say, read, what some of these children have gone through. And then you see them at 12, first time I meet this child, and you're like, how does a child at 12 years old get to this point and been and experienced so many things that are painful? And my husband always told me, you can't take things personal. If they say something to you or if they make you feel a certain way, like, it has nothing to do with you. And that was really difficult for me. And every day he would encourage me and just say, you're not doing anything wrong, because I'm a nurturer. So I love to cook, I clean. To me, it's not, I don't feel like I'm enabling them. I just want to help, because for me, I try to teach by example. So if you see me moving around, and I'm a busybody in the house, I'm cleaning, I'm folding clothes, I'm doing 20 things at a time. So for me, I model that behavior, and I hope that, they're able to pick it up. So when, again, they're in their next stage in life, that they're able to kind of do some of those things and model those things for their kids if they have a family. So it was difficult. And, I felt like it didn't matter what I did. We could go shopping, we could spend the day together, and it'd be the best daughter, mom, she'd call me mom, and it was like the best day. And the next day she wouldn't talk to him. She looked at me like I was a piece of dirt. And I could not understand, like, did I do something wrong? Did I say something and not realize that I hurt her feelings in some way? So it was painful at times because again, you don't ever want to feel like you're, re-traumatizing a child that already comes with so much trauma. And but my husband always had to tell me, Maria, it's not you. Just keep doing what you're doing. I promise, you know, it's settling somewhere. She's able to take that. You just may not see it right now. And lo and behold, over the years, again, her and my dog, the oldest one, are the same age. My birthday was literally 2 weeks ago, and we still keep in contact. We're there, but again, as you know, like stages in life, sometimes you kind of not even you just don't see each other as much, or you may not communicate as much. And also with kids, you also sometimes you recognize their patterns. So when I always picked up when she didn't want, if she wasn't doing her best, she wouldn't like text me or call me because they try to figure things out on their own. So when they're doing good, then it's calling, they're texting, they're coming to visit. So that was always like a sign for me, like, and I hadn't spoken with her in like probably a good 3 or 4 months. And like she shared her location with me. I didn't have her location, so I was worried. I really was worried because I'm like, oh my God, I hope she's okay. And out of the blue, on my birthday, she shows up in my office with a bouquet of balloons and the baby, who is 4 now. And of course, I cried. I can be very emotional. I'm surprised I haven't cried this far because it was also a day where I was already emotional. So it just like, I was caught off guard, but it kind of allowed for me to be human, and be that mom and just know that, like, and she was like, Mom, you have no idea. And I was like, I didn't expect you. And she was like, but it's your birthday.
Yeah.
But it was the tears of joy, and just knowing that she was okay, was a birthday gift in itself,
Wow.
because it
Hmm.
wasn't expected. And all my other kids, they're, I talk to them every day. They're tangible. I can hug them. I can see them. I'm on FaceTime with them all the time. But it was just a little different. So that was, when you asked me, that would probably say that was probably one of the families. Even though she became part of our family, it was still very impactful. But that's.
That's good. That's good. And Maddie, and she always talks about how we impact people, and sometimes we don't even realize how much we impact them, right? And like when you were talking about how she would disconnect from you when things weren't going right for her, it made me think of like she didn't want to like appear to be a failure. Like she was like looking up to you, and she would come and because when we're doing wrong, we don't want to be exposed like that. So that it's actually kind of good because I think it because of your presence, it has allowed her to, okay, let me get out of this mode because I gotta move into this other mode that's more in a positive manner. So I think that's awesome, because I was going to ask you if you still stay in contact with her, but I think it's amazing. Like I go through it as well, not in that capacity, but with even with some of the kids that I homeschool or tutor. Like the other day my friend was like, that student, like they love you. And I never really sat down to think about it in that capacity, because I know like they embrace me, or sometimes if they're eating something and they share it with me, I may not want it, but I take it anyway because I know it's part of our connection. So I just little things like that, especially for women, right? Where we can kind of like embrace somebody like that. And like how you were saying that you're a busybody and you're cooking, cleaning, whatever you're doing, because you want to, for them to potentially pick up those habits that may be positive in their lives. So I think that's awesome that you can do that. I know for me personally, like just doing stuff in the community, I started to be more active because I was thinking about the day that I'm not here, right? And how many families was I able to impact? And not necessarily that I'm trying to get to a particular number, because I just live my day by the day. But just to know that, like, wow, like today I did this with this person, right? And I always make sure that I do it at home first as well. Because sometimes I've caught myself where I'm doing more for like other families versus my own household. Um, So tell me, like, if you have ever felt that, like, and sometimes it takes for somebody else to bring it to your attention, or do you tend to catch yourself when you're getting a little bit out of order?
I would probably say my mom will probably be the first one to call me out. You
Mhm.
know, even to this day, my mom literally lives 6 minutes from my office, and sometimes she'll call me and said, "Consuelo, you haven't come by to see me. It's been 4 days." So my mom will call me out, probably more than I want at times, and I think that now that she's gotten older and she doesn't work, she obviously see things differently. Um, but it's still like it's still okay that she calls me out, because at the end of the day, I'm her daughter. I am the oldest I have two younger sisters, and in a way, it's her job to keep me in line at times and just say, "Hey, Consuelo, hey, just remember, I know you're working really hard. I know you're doing this. I know you're so busy. I know you're so busy, Consuelo. Can you maybe take a break?" She loves to cook as well. She's like, hice un pucherito, come get some, or hice empanadilla, come get some. They're hot, and sometimes I have to tell myself and remind myself, you know what, this right here can wait. And sometimes I just do it. Sometimes you just have to put whatever you're doing down and say, you know what, I'll be back. And it's not like I need anybody's permission at the end of the day, but again, I hold myself accountable to, I guess, standards in a sense, and I would never ask anybody to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. So for me, if you're going to go leave the office and take a lunch break, and some of this is kind of pre-COVID, but even still, to me, it's a level of respect. If I'm going to step out, hey, I'm going to step out for a little bit. I'll be back. I'll see you when I get back. So it's the same thing. But, so sometimes I do have to check myself and be like, you know what? The other day I had to do that. I said, I'm leaving early. I told my husband I'm gonna leave early, because, we'll sit there till 5:30, 6 o'clock, especially now that only the youngest is home. And, you
Mhm.
know, it's just kind of like, oh, we don't have to rush home. They're not little. I'm not cooking a 4-course meal for 5 kids. It's just, my youngest one is a really picky eater. So I'm like cooking for my husband and I, and I'm just like, this is not even fun a whole lot. Like I'm used to, my 18-year-old loves to eat. He's an athlete. So he's, Mommy, I'm hungry. What are you doing? What are you cooking today? What are you cooking? Always, did you make me this? Or did you make me rice? Or don't forget my vegetables. He's making sure his weight is right, but it's just a little different. But it's okay when you have to kind of call somebody out, and also, check yourself at times and just remind yourself that, you know, home is important. And, if you're not okay at home, then how are you going to help anybody else? How are you going to be whole, for anybody else, to be able to give? Because and I am very much like that. I can give, give, give. And even within my own family at times, I have moments where I feel, and my kids will tell me, my husband will tell me, my sisters, my mom, everybody around me that's close will tell me, okay, well, you did all those things. Consuelo, you're so busy. And just like, did you do something for yourself? And I'm like, honestly, when me and Viviana the other day, she literally said it to my face. We have not seen each other face to face in a few years. And, right before the show started, I was talking to Mark briefly, and I was like, Viviana and I are almost like kindred spirits. Like we don't talk to, we've never talked to each other every day. When our kids were younger, they played sports together. We would see each other at the events. There was a few times where we got together, but at the end of the day, I feel, Viviana said it best the other day when we were having coffee. And she was like, we've always been like this puzzle and these pieces, but it's just like sometimes it's just about the right time when this piece actually fits right here, or you actually find the piece that's missing, and it's been there all along, but it wasn't time to be picked up, or it wasn't time to place it where it belonged. So it was really nice. And I was like, okay, Viviana, you're being my mentor, my therapist, my everything today. So I thank you. And and the interesting part is that the day before, I had just started working with a Spanish family, and they're undocumented, and I needed some resources. And I said, oh my God, I need to call Viviana because I know she's can help me, like lead me in the right direction so I can be, a resource to the family. And um, it's like she texted me before she even knew that I was thinking of her. Or maybe that's why I said kindred spirits, because it was just the timing of it was amazing. And I will tell you, that was like Thursday, right? Or Friday. It was Friday. We talked Thursday, we met Friday, or Wednesday, we met Friday. My car broke down on the way to go see her. I was taking it in for to be serviced, and it left me stranded. My car is only a few years old. They should not have done that. And you know, there are other times where I might have been, you know what, let me just, I don't want to waste Viviana's time. Like, let me just tell her we'll meet another day. And I was like, nope, not going to happen. It's not going to happen today. I'm not going to allow this to impact, because at the end of the day, talking to Viviana just the day before, it was a blessing and it needed to happen for multiple reasons.
Right.
So me breaking down in my car, I wasn't even upset. I was like, dealership can have the dang on car. I do not care right now about this car. As a matter of fact, buy it from me. How about that? No purpose right now. But she gave me some resource, and I literally on Saturday, I picked up the family. I took them to the event, and it was, if I could have taken pictures and posted them everywhere, I would have, because the the gratitude that
Mhm.
this family had for the hours that I spent with them and was able to help them, but Viviana helped me be able to help them, you know, and it was just, I mean, the family wouldn't even stop texting me after even, drop them off and everything, because again, it's again our voices sometimes we don't feel heard. But for me, I get the most gratitude and fulfillment doing that, because it's genuine. And I don't think about, the other stuff, the big responsibilities, the red tape, the bureaucracy that we have to deal with on a day-to-day business, and especially within the mental health business, or anything that in regards to the insurances and the payments to make sure that we can actually pay our staff and do what we do. But at the end of the day, it's so draining, that part of what we do, when it comes to helping the community, and it comes with it. So you just kind of have to, those moments, I take those and I pour them in and I multiply them, because on the days where I just want to go tell, people that are in Congress or making these decisions, and they're not making good decisions, where I want to be able to pick up the phone and say, you know what you're doing? You know how many people you're taking away things from? And we can be very fiery, right?
Very.
So it's like, don't let me go just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Don't make me go there. But so I think those importance just weigh more in a good way, to kind of get you through the moments where you're just like, is it worth it at times? And every time I say, yes, it's worth it, it's just to not allow those moments of frustration to basically get in the way of doing what you want to do. And I think that's one of the things that I really allow myself is, you know, I'm okay with saying, I'm really frustrated right now. And if that means I have to cry for 10 minutes, or if I have to sit in my car and play loud music for 10 minutes or dance or whatever it is I need to do, then I'm going to give myself that. And then I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? I'm done with that. Now what am I going to do? And how am I going to move forward? Because you got enough of my energy, So that's it. It's tough moments at times. I'm not going to lie.
Maria, let me ask you. I know you touch on, the fact that you have 5 children. So
Mhm.
we all moms, so we know it's not easy to have one, two, let alone five. You say you are a busybody. How have you been able to incorporate, or we talk a lot about finding balance between our
Mhm.
work and our home life, and and like you said, you give yourself time for those moments where you need to have time for yourself so that you can kind of gather yourself. But how do you find that balance between home and work? And on top of all of that, being an entrepreneur, because having your own business, you have to pour double, three, triple, four times more than you would working for somebody else. How have you been able to make that happen?
I would say that's probably one of the harder questions, because I think that we think we think we're balancing, but sometimes we're really not. You know, like I feel like I can be a really great multitasker, and there are some professionals that say that doesn't exist. You can't multitask. You're actually not giving any the proper attention to anything that you're doing, and everything is kind of messy. So, I can tend to argue, at times, because absolutely I can multitask certain things, but um, I think that it's really about just trying little things to try to find some success in the smaller things, rather than kind of tackling everything at one time, because I know that for me, I can overwhelm myself because I set very high expectations on how much I can actually do, especially when it comes to my family, like my kids and my husband. Like, you know, I'm not leaving the house if my bed isn't made. Like, I might have 3 loads of laundry, but I'm not leaving the house until my bed is made. Like, there are certain things, and they actually say if you can at least make your bed before you leave the house, you're already winning, because you've already completed one task since you woke up. So sometimes it really is just really finding the smaller, moments of success and being kind to yourself, which again, I do have a harder time with doing that, because I do feel, and I put a lot of pressure on myself in making sure I can be there for everybody. And that includes my husband, my kids, my dog, my grand dogs. I got 2 grand dogs, and sometimes I don't know if I do a well job at balancing, honestly. And so it's something that I work at every day. Like today, for example, I was feeling somewhat overwhelmed, for multiple reasons, and I decided, and it wasn't great the weather this morning, but I decided to take a walk by myself. Usually, sometimes my husband and I will walk together, but this morning I literally felt like I needed to walk by myself. So that's what I did for an hour and a half, and then I sat by the water. It was like, a little man-made lake in the neighborhood. So I sat there for 30 minutes and just stared at the water for 30 minutes, because I've always lived by water. So for me, it's very therapeutic for me, to be able to be by water. So even just seeing and sitting by the water for 30 minutes and try to think about some of the things that I'm trying to balance and figure out a plan, was very helpful for me this morning to even be ready for today, honestly. Because the like things don't stop. My oldest daughter, she'll tell me, she's a clinical psychologist. She just finished, and she's taught me obviously a few things along the way. But she was like, mommy, sometimes, it's okay to not feel like you have the mental bandwidth to be able to handle certain things, and you have to accept that. And just, even if you tell yourself, you know what, I can't take that on right now because I don't have the mental capacity to be able to take that on and be, and have a positive outcome with that. So, because if not, then you just continue putting it on, layering it on yourself. And then what happens when it's just too many things? You become overwhelmed, and then, you know,
It's not healthy.
it's not healthy in multiple ways. So, sometimes I have to really, stop myself, like I said, and just, give myself a moment to kind of regroup, in a sense of, okay, I have this to do, I have that to do. But I can't do any of these things if I don't literally make sure that I have a plan, or if it's write it down, and everybody manages things differently, you know, and the other word that my daughter has helped me with is life keeps life in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't stop. And I was like, wow, that's so true, because things aren't going to stop occurring. It's not even about good or bad. It's just life. We don't know what one moment to the next is going to bring. And we just have to try to do the best we can to, take things head on, or just take life, as it's coming, and be, do the best you can. And, so obviously having a support system, you know, if it's children, if it's friends, if it's, whoever those important people are in your life that really are there for you, that obviously makes is very helpful, because not everybody has somebody who can be there for them when they're feeling down, or upset, or frustrated, or feeling like they don't have anybody. So being kind, and to me, is also very, it's just something that I feel that I am that person, because you really don't know. I would say everybody has a story. You have no idea. If we sat here and we each shared different, like, from what we remember up until now, we'll all be here. Obviously, we'll all have a box of Kleenexes,
Yeah.
and we're all going to be left with our mouths wide open, because nobody's going to really, but really, not even believe, but it was like, wow, I would have never thought that
Right.
such and such, or that that person experienced this, or that she or he or whatever it is. So, and as women, we also take on, multiple roles at any given time. So, we have different struggles. Men have certain struggles that we may never understand, but as a woman, we also have struggles that they will never understand.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm sorry, Maddie. I don't know if I said it last week, but I saw I think it was on Instagram, I believe, but it was like they were like on a racetrack, and it was a man and a woman, and in front of the man was just a briefcase, and in front of the woman was like a briefcase, washing machine, a stove, like all these other things. But it made me think of that image when you were talking. Sorry,
It,
Maddie. Go ahead.
it's so true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I had a very good friend of mine that told me, because sometimes you get overwhelmed because you want to do things, and you want to do this and you want to do that, and there's not enough times in the there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done. And sometimes you sit down and you think, man, there's one of me and 20 things to do. So my friend said, you can have it all, just not all at once. Do you agree with that? What are your thoughts around that?
I can see how that can be a true statement, honestly, because at the end of the day, I mean, do we really want it all at one time? I mean, if you literally had a suitcase and everything that you wanted was in that one suitcase, does it even fit? It doesn't even fit in one suitcase,
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, you know, I guess it depends if it's things that are tangible, untangible. Can we have love and happiness, and we can have, again, some of those things, for some people might be relative, get into all this philosophical. Well, what it really is love? What makes you happy may not make me happy. Like, everybody has their own, like,
Definition. Yeah.
definitions, because what may fulfill me may not fulfill the next person. Sometimes being a mother and nurturing your children and spending time with your kids and being to them, for some women, that's not where they hold their highest value, and to each their own. One of the things I've always said is everything is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, I would love to have my own business. Really?
Like, do
Really?
you know what it really takes to
You
do that?
can't manage your bank account, let alone a whole business.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
because it takes more than just, oh, I just want to have the autonomy, what they think owning a business is. But what about all the other stuff? What about all the days where you're like, can I make payroll? What about the days that you're the only one working 2 and 3 nights, in a row, where you're sleeping, worrying about, is this business going to stay afloat? Or the next thing to try to grow your business? Or maybe somebody you've hired that isn't working out, and you're like, trying to make the right decision. Do we fire them now? Do we wait? Have we done this? All the steps that you have to take and consider before you can just make a decision when you own a business. If it's just you can make your own decision. Oh, I'm not doing this today. Okay, well, then you take the whole impact, or how it's going to consequence you. But as a business owner, you have to think about how it's going to impact you, your business, your staff. If it's something compliance wise, like, it could be legal issues, like, it's so many things. But those are the things that most people, they don't think about. And even me and Viviana were talking, and we were talking. I said, the problems that we incur, like this, most of the staff, it's not that they don't understand, they just don't care. it, I can't be mad at them because, you know, for some, that's just where they are in life, and that's okay. Like I said, everything is not for everybody, Like, I would never say I'm going to be a painter because I can't draw a stick figure. So I can never say that. I don't care how many hours of training you're going to give me, I can never be a painter. If you can get me to write even a four verse poet, like un verso,
Oh
that
my
would
God,
be a
Maddie's
lot.
gonna give you a challenge.
I
Oh
know,
my
I know
God,
she
you
is,
on.
because the thing
said
is,
that, Maria Consuelo,
oh my gosh,
you're in trouble.
I dread when when you said you had to write a poem. Oh my gosh, my husband is an amazing writer. I mean, amazing. He can write, he can draw. I am none of those things, and I dread it. It's like Frozen. I was like, I can't even get the first letter out. It'd be terrible. I would fail.
You wouldn't, because I have never written a poem unless it was something that I had to do for school and it was going to be graded. But I had to do one last week, and I actually had a fun time
That's
Really?
great.
doing it.
Oh my
And I
God.
got, I got an A on it too last week.
I believe it because Viviana is very, she's focused. She's gonna do a good job. She gave me homework. We hadn't even left the coffee shop, and she already sent me my homework.
I did. I
But
did.
you know what? But you know what? I appreciate that because for me, like, she was able to recognize, again, we've known each other for 10 years, but it's not like we're hanging out every single day. But because she is who she is, she's able to recognize, I already know how Maria is, so let me make sure I give her what I know she needs now, because if not, Maria's going to end up going 10 steps
I
here.
remember we were talking and having coffee, and I told her something, and I said, "Well, write it down," because she had a notebook. I was like, "Write it down." She was like, "What?" I said, "No,
Right,
write
writing nothing
everything so
down.
that we
I'm
just write
I'm
it
going
down."
through emotion. I said, yeah, you're right. I need to write that down.
So
Ah,
for Maria's not write a poem, it will be write an acoustic poem, write a haiku, write. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna
It
send you
sounds
your homework.
something with a numerical pattern.
it sounds all like a whole nother language that I have no concept of. I've heard of those terms to helping my kids, and no, I told my son just before he was graduating, he had to write several poems, and I said, "Do not ask me about anything but a poem. You do not want to get the grade that I would get in that class." I said, because I'll probably be asking somebody else to help me write it. So you go ask your dad, because I'm sure he can do an amazing job. And he actually is good with writing, and he takes after his dad on that. So he gets the music. My husband's a good
The
dancer too, but
creativity, the creativity. But you're a
I'm a,
better dancer than him.
I'm just more passionate and
Yeah,
dancer. That's all. I just like to dance.
it's
I
because you're
will take the.
Spaniard. It's because
It
you're Spaniard.
is. It
Yeah.
is. I tell my husband all the time. I said, I don't know if you realize what you got yourself into when you met me. Like, I might have looked cute with my red on because I was wearing red, and like, I don't really know if you knew what you were getting yourself into 27 years later. So some days I'm sure he's like, she tried to
Yeah.
warn you.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because there's a meme and I always reshare it with my husband and it says, "Tú sabías que yo era loca, así que ahora aguántate."
Mhm.
Right.
That's
You
I
signed
right.
up
always
for
tell
this.
him that. I'm like, you knew it, so and you picked me, so now you take it.
Have you seen that T-shirt? It's like on Instagram, and it says, and it's like whatever you are. It actually, it kind of, it's like AI. It knows where you're from. And it says, "Tú te casaste con una española." Like, basically, you know what you got yourself into when you married, Dominicana, Puerto Ricana, whatever it is. And I was like, I promise one day I'm going to buy him that shirt, and he can walk around when I'm
You should
when
do it for Christmas. Like, do
I
it
know.
now.
So when he thinks I'm being spicy or I'm being, whatever, go put your shirt on and remind yourself.
Right. You know what you signed up for. So
Yes.
before we go, Maria, I do have one more question for you. And before
Mhm.
I ask the question, I just want to say thank you to our audience. We've had a couple of comments from Marlene. Morales, and also there was one more person. Who was it? Lourdes Soler, Carlos Utachan, John Jairo, Charles Cheek. They're watching us as well. So I just want to say thank you for watching us today.
And mom, Lily Matos.
Yes, my mother and my grandmother. Yes. I just wanted to ask you, what does retirement look like for you, like in the next 2 3 years, and you only have 2 minutes to answer? What does that look like, maybe without you going into the office, like Catch can be sold to somebody else or somebody else is running it? What does your ideal day look like and you don't have to go to the office?
Hopefully my kids will take over. Well, the two of my kids will hopefully be able to continue the vision, because since they're both in the field, they can take it and grow it, make it whatever it is they want. Like, we gave them the platform. And then for me, hopefully one day I'll have some grandkids and I'll be laying on a beach and doing absolutely nothing, honestly. Whatever it is I choose to do my time, but spend with my time, I can just, because I love the beach, and I hope I can just get some sun and go visit my kids wherever they are. Everybody can get a week. Just have a space for me to go. I'm coming to visit. That's really what I would like to do.
Nice. And cook.
Yes, I'm coming. I'm coming cooking. Like,
Yeah.
look, they don't have to worry about, they can, if they have a nanny, she can be off for the week. Go send her on vacation. Like, and for me, I enjoy that. Like, it brings me joy. I go visit my daughters. I'm always helping them. If there's moving, to me, it brings me joy. It fulfills me when I go and I was like, okay, what do you want to eat? Okay, I'm going to the store. I come back and I'm cooking, and I'm like, I get home and I'm like cleaning. I was like, did you forget your baseboards over here? Okay, I'm gonna get those for you. So when I come back, make sure you don't miss them next time. And it's not like being like anal, or it's just like,
It's
again,
helping.
it's just what I do. It's just, I'm just helping. That's what I do. And so they laugh at me, and even their friends like, oh, we know how your mom is. In their roommates like, oh, we know your mom was here because this apartment is spotless. And I said it was already clean. I just added a little bit of shine to it. That's it.
Right, right. Oh my goodness, pobrecitas.
I know.
Well, it was amazing having you
Thank
today.
you.
It was fun. It was exciting, and I learned a few things about you that I didn't know before.
You
So
have
we're
to
gonna
tell me
go.
what they are.
I will when we have coffee again. So we scheduled. That's one of the other. I'm gonna be texting you later so we can
Okay.
schedule our next meeting. But we're gonna go ahead and get started with Maddie's poem. Can't wait.
I'm gonna take notes.
So before I go into poem, just want to say thank you, Maria. Gracias por estar con nosotros. It was great learning about you and your life and all the wonderful things that you're doing. So, so talking about stories and things that we might not know about others. I don't think I've ever read this poem outside of competition. I do poetry competition, and I think I competed with this poem a couple of times. But very personal story. So a little background on it. I am the mother of twins. I When I was pregnant with my twins, it was a very rough pregnancy. They were born very early. They were born at 28 weeks. So I almost lost them before I even had them. And I struggled a lot. And at one point, when we first moved to Virginia, I was arrested and I was accused of child abuse. So this is kind of the background behind this poem. So to the social worker who had me arrested for child abuse. Show me the textbook that tells you the right color a good mother should be. There must be one, because why else would you judge me based on the color of my skin? Maybe I reminded you of a face you see in the mirror every day, or perhaps a personal history you've been trying to correct. Your first mistake. You put on paper that I was Puerto Rican, but you never even asked. Deny me the chance to tell you how proud of being Dominican I am. You saw a colored woman with 3 children and assumed there was no dad, forcing me to fit into some kind of stereotype. That was your second strike. I get it. 5 children die every day in America, 80% killed at the hands of the mom or dad, but being a minority doesn't prove that I caused my child any harm. Imagine the trauma you caused in my son's 5-year-old mind, having to testify against his mom because he told a little lie. You made too many assumptions and did not expect for me to fight back. When I was given the gift of a life growing inside me, it was a responsibility I never took lightly. Imagine my surprise when a routine sonogram revealed there were two strong heartbeats. Against all odds, through prayer and faith, my life was blessed with the birth of my two angels from heaven, weighing in at only 2 pounds, depending on me to keep them safe and sound. My entire life was put on hold. There was no career, house, or job because their well-being became my focus. There were many tears and sleepless nights, struggles I never thought our family could ever survive. Your third strike, being a complete stranger whom my children just met, after all I've been through, having the nerve to question my love and respect for them. You never even gave me a chance to explain. In your eyes, I was guilty, my self-respect outraged, not only pointing the finger, but having me arrested in front of the world to make me pay for what? The sacrifices I have made? In handcuffs and in pain, any dignity I have left evaporated with the fire felt from those who judge me as I took that walk of shame. In my mind, still vivid and alive, every tear from deep inside, begging God to please help me survive. I only have horrible memories of that night as my body was scrutinized, turning my insides out, dimming the bright light in my life, feeling everything going dark, humiliated by that moment and asking God why. But you left me with no choice. You left me with no choice but to climb out of the hole that I was thrown. How could you have known? You could have never even imagined the immensity of this power that I hold. I am a mother. And in case you didn't know, mothers possess a natural animal strength that has been tamed, that if disturbed can face off against the most vicious predator in any domain. You have nothing left but to bow your head and admit your mistake. Understand that no one will ever tarnish or break the special bond between a mother and her youngster. That when it comes to my children, I still know best. Today, though I've never heard an apology from your lips, I was able to swim back from the deep end, discover my own strength, but most of all comprehend that I might not be perfect, but I was chosen by God to love and protect my children.
Wow. Thank you, Maddie. Nice. Thank you. I felt it was heartfelt. Thank you. Is that poem in your book or no?
It's not. No, it's not.
Very nice. Thank you so much again. As always, Maddie's poems gives me goosebumps from head to toe. Amazing. So our time is up. But again, thank you again, Maria.
Gracias a ti, gracias a
For your
ustedes.
time. Gracias por estar con nosotros hoy. Y estamos aquí todos los domingos a las 4 de la tarde y espero que tengan una semana excelente. Maddie, thank you for pouring your heart as always, and I love it because I can feel your heart every time you read a poem to us. But I just want to say thank you, and we will see you guys next Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with ¿Qué pasa, mujer?
Gracias, Maddie. Gracias, Viviana.
I just need to be left alone right now, man.
No, Cam. I think the problem is that you've been left alone way too much.
Life's hard. The world is complicated.
Remember, you are not alone.
Love you, girl. I love you too.
Mental health challenges are common, treatable, and often preventable.
It's time to talk about it.
It's time to defy the fear and stigma that has made so many suffer in silence.
Instead, dare to love yourself and others.
Dare to ask for help and support.
Dare to listen and show up for the people around you.
Join the conversation.
So what would you tell your younger self?
Some of the things I would tell my younger self is that there is help out there when you're struggling with mental health. As professionals, it's our role to be here to support people and show them how to manage and cope with mental illness and addiction.
So many of our people suffer in silence, alone, not even realizing the resources that are out there. Everybody deserves to heal. We are all human. We need to treat everybody with loving kindness. We don't know what the other person is going through.
Just know that it's not a defective character when you're struggling with it. It's not a fault of who you are, and that there is help and support out there. Everybody is deserving of being healthy in our community.
There is help. There is hope.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
The judge.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
To me, Beacon is the light. Let's shine a light to celebrate DC's women entrepreneurs.
It represents a community of like-minded women with the same goals.
It's the Beacon Grant Program. We got a phenomenal grant from Google to come in and do funding. We collaborated with the mayor's office to help provide additional resources.
I'm also a recipient of the $5,000 Beacon grant, and I want to say thank you. None of it would have been possible were it not for your support.
Beacon is a network of guidance, resources, and support that helps businesses like mine navigate the current economy.
I'm very, very much inspired by this time because now the Black women entrepreneurs are receiving the recognition and capital that they deserve.
Are just so impressed with them. Like I said, we've been with them for years. I will recommend and refer anyone to them. We stand by A+ academics. They're the best.
A+ tutorial really did help me with all my grades. They all went up when I came to this place. And I would say I recommend this school to everyone.
So it's a really good environment to be in, especially for me because it makes me look up to my parents.
If you have students that need academic help, A+ Academics is the place to be.
A+ Academics, what a great place to go for academics.
It's just a really great place to learn.